Charlton going for a 1-2 and getting it! Oh, what a goal!
Think of Sir Bobby Charlton and that shot hammers into your mind. Off either foot, at the most crucial moments, the unmistakable signature of a magnificent player. Bobby was a diamond plucked from coal. Born in a Northumberland pit village, he was related to the great Jackie Milburn. His brother Jack also turned professional. At Manchester United, he was part of the exciting crop of young players known as the Busby Babes. And he was on that plane, on the runway in Munich in 1958. In the crash, Bobby was hurt, but survived. 23 people died, including 8 of his teammates. Out of that unimaginable horror, Bobby helped rebuild United. In time, he'd be joined by Dennis Law and George Best, the trinity that inspired the club to the European Cup, 10 years after the disaster. In the final, Bobby scored twice. But it's at the 1966 World Cup where Bobby's most enduring memories were made. His goal against Mexico kick-started England. His 2 in the semi-final saw them pass Eusebio's Portugal and into the final. Then beyond that, alongside his brother, into history. Bobby wore his brilliance lightly. He was modest, he was a gentleman, but most of all, he is, and always will be, a legend.
Football has lost one of the all-time greats. Everyone at Match of the Day sends their condolences to the friends and family of Sir Bobby Charlton, who has died at the age of 86. Alan Shearer and Micah Richards join us. Alan, a very sad day.
Absolutely, yeah. He was iconic. He was a legend. He was a giant of our game. He was a great goal scorer, but also a scorer of great goals. His technique was just incredible. And wherever you went in the world, everyone knew who Sir Bobby was. And that sort of sums his status up. He was just incredible and such a humble and nice guy.
You're probably too young to have actually seen him in play, Micah, but you've played in Manchester. A lot of your career there, you'll be aware of his presence.
Yeah, I came over to Manchester when I was 14 and everyone used to talk about him and how wonderful he was, what he did for Man United, what he did for England, and no matter what generation it is, you could always resonate with him and what he's done for football. Condolences to his family. Absolutely sad day for football. And, yeah, sad news. He'll be missed.
He certainly will.
Yeah.
We'll see Manchester United's game at Sheffield United later in the show, but we begin at Stamford Bridge. Unbeaten Arsenal have won their last 3 against Chelsea, facing a different manager on each occasion. Thomas Tuchel, Graham Potter and Frank Lampard were followed by Mauricio Pochettino. Your commentator, Jonathan Pearce.
Mauricio Pochettino has never lost a home Premier League match against Arsenal. On the other hand, only Kenny Dalglish and Pep Guardiola have a better win percentage against Chelsea in the competition than Mikel Arteta. Chelsea in danger of losing 3 successive home top-flight games for the first time since 1993. Make 2 changes from their win at Burnley. Gusto returns from suspension, so Cowen and Cucurella will play in their preferred positions, with Axel Disasi only fit enough for the bench. And Mudryk replaces Breuer, who dropped out of the Albanian international squad injured. Reece James is among the subs. Bukayo Saka returns for Arsenal, replacing Nketiah, and Gabriel Martinelli is preferred to Trossard for a 100th Premier League appearance. Ramsdale isn't here. His wife Georgina gave birth to a baby boy. There'll be a moment's silence at every Premier League game this weekend to remember the innocent civilians who've lost their lives and all those affected by the ongoing crisis in Israel and Gaza. Players of Chelsea and Arsenal and the match officials take the knee as the battle against racism continues.
The last 3 meetings between Newcastle and Crystal Palace had all ended at 0-0. Mark Scott was hoping for better at St James's Park.
Newcastle's build-up to this game has been overshadowed by the news that Sandro Tonali is being investigated for alleged illegal betting activity during his time at AC Milan. He begins on the Magpies bench today in one of 4 changes. Jacob Murphy starts in the league for the first time this season. Anthony Gordon's back after a ban, with Joel Linton and Callum Wilson also coming in. Palace have Jefferson Lerma back after 5 games out injured, with Ward and Decore also having recovered from knocks. 19-year-old Brazilian Matheus Francis on the bench. He's not played since joining in the summer.
Great day for Newcastle.
Should Newcastle have been on first today, Alan?
I was wondering why they weren't.
You was annoyed, wasn't you?
It was a good job it wasn't my decision, or they would have been.
Don't look at me. No teams played more 12-30 games since the start of last season than Liverpool. At least their opponents didn't have to set the alarm too early. Everton laid in wait at Anfield. Your commentator, Guy Mowbray.
Mo Salah was a scorer in last season's derby here, a 2-0 Liverpool win. It was his 5th goal against Everton, and one today will take him on to 200 league goals in his illustrious career overall in Egypt, Switzerland, Italy and England. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is one away from a milestone too, 50 in the Premier League. He's scored 3 in his last 4 Everton games, and his fitness and form is so important to their chances here and for the rest of the season.
It was crisis time at Manchester City. They'd lost back-to-back league games. Brighton looking to pile on the pressure onto Pep Guardiola. Steve Wilson was at the Etihad.
If any game guarantees goals, then this may just be it. Brighton have scored in their last 17 away league games. City have scored in their last 22 at home. The value of Rodri's return from suspension is clear. City lost all 3 games of his domestic ban. His return, one of 5 changes, the most surprising of which is perhaps the first Premier League start of the season for Stefan Ortega in goal. For Brighton, James Milner is preferred to Joel Veltman at right-back. It's the 37-year-old's 625th Premier League appearance, 147 of which were made for Manchester City. On October the 2nd, Manchester City lost one of their greats. Francis Lee, former player and later club chairman, passed away. A man who won the First Division title, the FA Cup, the League Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup with City in the days when that was an optimistic trophy tally for a decade, not a realistic one for a season.
Just the one game in Match of the Day too. Aston Villa West Ham, 10:30, BBC One. Sir Bobby Charlton, the first gentleman of football, is available to watch now on iPlayer. It's also on BBC One Monday at 10:30 p.m. And if you missed the start of the show, sign in now on iPlayer. The whole programme is available first thing on Sunday. Manchester United was still coming to terms with the loss of Sir Bobby Charlton ahead of their game against Sheffield United. Martin Fisher was at Bramall Lane.
On paper, the perfect opportunity for Manchester United to pick up back-to-back Premier League wins for the first time this season. Sheffield United's first game at Bramall Lane since that 8-0 humiliation by Newcastle. Injuries continue to bite deep here. 10 players unavailable. No Chris Basham, of course. Ahmed Hodzic also missing tonight. Robinson and McAtee come in. Casemiro picks up a knock on international duty for Brazil, so Scott McTominay returns after his goal-scoring heroics as a sub against Brentford. Antony is preferred to Mason Mount. All football clubs have their heroes. There's none bigger in the history of Manchester United than Sir Bobby Charlton. 3 titles, an FA Cup, 249 goals in 758 appearances. A Munich survivor who went on to lift the European Cup. Quite simply, a legend. Rapturous applause as the face, that instantly recognisable face of Bobby Charlton, is put on the giant screens. A Manchester United hero certainly, but a hero to all football fans of all generations.
More on Sir Bobby Charlton. Manchester United have announced that a book of condolence will be open to the public Sunday from 10 a.m. at Old Trafford. It was 6 games without a win for Brentford. They faced Burnley, whose 4 points since promotion had all been earned away from home. Robyn Cowen was at the GTEC Community Stadium.
A reset required for both Brentford and Burnley. Both will hope the international break will bring a change in fortune. Brentford are on their worst run since the beginning of 2022. 3 changes from the defeat at Old Trafford. Mark Flecken returns in goal. Frank Onyeka is named in the starting 11, and there's a first start and a second home debut for Neil Mowbray after rejoining on loan from Everton. Lyle Foster has been a shining light during a difficult start to the season for Burnley. He's scored or assisted in each of his last 5 games. Connor Roberts, Dara O'Shea and Zeki Amdouni, the trio that come in from the loss to Chelsea.
Bournemouth had yet to win a league game since sacking Gary O'Neill in the summer. O'Neill was back at the Vitality Stadium with Wolves. Commentary comes from Simon Brotherton.
Keeping Bournemouth up and in 15th place wasn't enough for Gary O'Neill to keep his job, but he returns with his former club languishing in the bottom 3. Among 4 changes for the hosts, there's a debut for fit-again summer signing from Bristol City, Alex Scott, and a return for Lloyd Kelly, who's missed the last 3 with a calf injury. Wolves are forced into a couple of changes, with both Mario Lemina and Nelson Semedo out through suspension after picking up 5 yellow cards each. It means Boubacar Traoré and Matt Doherty both make their first starts of the season in the league.
The great Des Walker played more than 800 professional games, but only scored 1 goal. A 90th minute equaliser for Nottingham Forest, the last time they faced Luton in a top-flight game at the City Ground back in 1992. No wonder he went mad. Tom Gayle, watch this one.
Luton optimists will look to the tough start Forest endured for the first 8 games of last season. They picked up just 4 points, the same as Rob Edwards' side have now, before going on to finish 16th. Key to survival was their City Ground form. Only Newcastle and Manchester United have won here in the past year. Steve Cooper is still without top scorer Taiwo Awoniyi, so Chris Wood leads the line in back-to-back games for the first time since March. And after an ACL-enforced 19-month wait, Andros Townsend is once again part of a Premier League matchday squad.
We're out of time, Micah. Thank you. Alan, thank you very much indeed. Before we go, though, let's have a look at the Premier League table. Manchester City overtake Arsenal to go top on goal difference, while Liverpool rise to 3rd. Newcastle climb 3 places to 5th, with Manchester United now up to 8th. Sheffield United are still at the foot of the table after their 8th defeat in 9 games. Bournemouth and Burnley remain in the relegation zone, while Luton's draw edges them a point clear of the Clarets. Sunday's newspapers are dominated by the death of Sir Bobby Charlton. The Star calls the England legend our hero and the nicest man in football. The Sun describes him as an inspiration and a giant of the game. And the Mirror says we will never forget him, and nor will football. So that's it on a day when football lost one of the very best. Rest in peace, Sir Bobby.
That's the goal worth remembering.